Hey everybody. So our July meeting this month will be canceled since there's a lot of people that are going to be out of town, and I happen to be one of those people. I'm headed off to Colorado for a couple of weeks. But I had promised on the calendar for this meeting that we would be talking about some saltwater fishing. So I thought I would just try something a little bit different and make a virtual presentation for us. That way you can go back and review it. And I'm going to focus specifically on Panama City since that's where we'll be heading in August. So anyway, hopefully you all will be able to open this and it will come through clearly. I'm sitting outside doing this, so if you hear the cicadas in the background, that's what that is. All right. So first off, let me just put out this disclaimer. Although I know quite a bit about trout fishing in freshwater, I'm not a saltwater expert. I have been out quite a few times fishing in Cape Cod and also along some of the Gulf Coast. I have been to Panama City once. That was last year, and did pretty well. And that's what made me think about coming up with this trip. Actually, every speckled trout that I caught or redfish that I caught, I thought about the Fly Girls, and I thought this would be just a really great trip. So anyway, that's why we're going to do this in August. So again, I'm not an expert, but the things I'm going to share with you are the things that worked for me last year, and so we'll give that a try. Okay, so let's get going here and take a look at what we're after. So the fish that was shown on the first slide, that's a needle-nosed fish. We aren't going to be targeting those fish. I just happened to be fortunate enough to catch one while I was out there last year. You'll see them swimming around your feet. They aren't going to bother you, I promise. Since I saw them, I went ahead and cast to them, but they're kind of like gar in that you don't use a hook to catch them. You use a piece of frayed rope, and the fly gets caught up in their teeth. This one just happened to take my fly, and it was fun bringing them in, but we won't target those. What we're going to be after are speckled trout, which people call specks, or redfish. It's not really the time for redfish, but there are occasions that you'll see them, and we'll be able to catch them, hopefully. But we'll also, anything that tugs. That's the fun part of fishing in the ocean, I think, is that you never know what's going to be on the end of that line. So that's what we will be shooting for. As far as the flies that we'll use, I would recommend getting some bait fish flies, or they look like little shad patterns, and also clouser minnows. Some of you may have some of these still left from our Miami trip. I would say we would use sizes in size 4s and 6s, possibly down as small as some 8s, but no smaller than that. And you could just pick some of these up at Fly South. I think Cumberland Transit may have some saltwater flies, I'm not sure, but definitely Fly South. If you stop in, just let them know we're going to Panama City and we're just going to be waiting out and fishing. They may have some other recommendations, but this is really all I used last year, and it worked just fine. So I'd pick up half a dozen or so of each of those just to have along with you. So as far as the rods to pack along, I would suggest a 6 or a 7 weight. Those are going to toss those flies pretty well. Some of you may not have but one rod, and maybe all you have is a 5 weight, and that'll be fine. Just go ahead and bring it. One thing we'll want to make sure that we do after every day of fishing is rinse out the reel and wash off the rod with fresh water. That salt can really destroy equipment, so we'll make sure that that's rinsed off properly once we're finished for the day. If you have ever had any thoughts of getting another rod, make sure to let me know, because I can't recommend the moonshine rods highly enough. It's a great price point. They run for $1.99. They have free shipping. There's no tax associated with it, and I can get a 10% discount for you as well if you order it online. They're great folks, and it would be a great extra rod for you in case you were looking to step up and buy a 6 or a 7 weight. You can get an inexpensive reel to go along with that, and some fly line, and you'll be all set. But don't worry about it. It's not necessary to do it. You can go ahead and use your 5 weight if that's all you have. But just wanted to put that out there for what kind of rods we would want to take along with us. So the leaders that we'll be using out in the salt are a little bit different than our normal trout freshwater leaders. The saltwater leaders are very basic. We aren't going to use a tapered leader. You could, but instead of spending $6 or so for each one of the leaders, if you buy a couple of spools of Vanish, I would suggest a 20-pound and a 12-pound. We'll just be able to construct those ourselves. You just use a few feet of the 20-pound, a few feet of the 12-pound. We'll tie that directly to the fly line, and we'll be done. So that's what I used last year, and it worked out really well. You can pick up Vanish either at Walmart or order it on Amazon, or Bass Pro Shop sells it as well. But again, I would suggest buying a spool of 20-pound and a spool of 12-pound, and that will last you a lifetime for all of the saltwater fishing that you might be doing. Again, the leaders are relatively short. I will help you guys to create these the day that we get there, and we'll just sit around in the house and tie up a couple of them so you'll have them with you. There's 2 knots that you'll need to know, and it's the surgeon's knot that'll be used to tie the 2 pieces of Vanish leader material together, and then also the non-slip or mono loop knot. That's what will be used for tying on the fly. It's a little bit different from the clinch knot. Using the mono loop knot, your fly has a little bit of a loop to be able to swim around or move around on. It makes it look a little more realistic. It's a very easy knot to tie, and I'll be able to show you how to do that. If you want to get a jump start ahead of time, I've included the link to the website where you can go. It's an animated knot site, and just click on the non-slip mono loop knot just to see how that's tied. And I think most of you know how to tie the surgeon's knot, but if not, it's there also. As far as the technique that we'll use in fishing there from the shore, of course we won't be doing any nymph fishing at all, but what we'll do is you'll just cast your fly out just as far as you can throw it. You'll just wait for a minute for it to sink, put the fly line under your finger, and just start stripping. You'll do a couple of quick strips and then pause, a couple of quick strips and pause, and there won't be any mistake when the fish hit it. They're a little bit more aggressive than our freshwater fish, and it's amazing when they strike and hit that fly really hard. There won't be any second guessing. You'll know that the fish is there. But we'll work a little bit on casting when we get out there. If anybody needs any help, I'll be happy to give you a couple of quick tips and just do a tune-up on the cast when we get there. So the area that we're going to be fishing is very close to Tyndall Air Force Base. In fact, this little section or lagoon is right on the base, but anyone from the public is allowed to use it. It's a neat area. It was very clean. There were bathrooms there, easy parking, and areas where you can get into the shade, because it definitely will be hot while we're there. The nice thing about it is there's really not any, there's no waves. It's not going to be in an area where you're going to have to be combating any sunbathers or swimmers. It's really just, and very easy wading. It's a sandy bottom. I think there were a few rocks and shells when you very first get in, but the rest of the time it's just a sandy bottom. If you choose to wade fish, which I'll probably do some of that, you just basically get up to about your knees. Again, it's easy wading. We aren't getting in very deep at all. You can pretty much see into the water what's swimming around you, and so there's really nothing that you have to be worried or nervous about. We may explore some other beach areas. I know I went on the other side of the road and fished a little bit too, and produced some fish. But this will be our primary focus in the area that we'll be going. It's probably only, I don't know, maybe a 20-minute drive or so, maybe 30 minutes from the house where we'll be staying. And I think you'll find that it's a lot of fun, and it's a neat little area. So some of you are probably wondering if you should bring your waders, and the answer is no. I would not wear waders. It's going to be so hot. I would just wear some quick dry shorts and a shirt. Of course, something very cool. I typically wear long sleeves, but feel free to wear a tank top or whatever. It is definitely going to be hot and very sunny, hopefully, so we'll have a lot of sunscreen on. I just wore my Chacos last year and did fine with those. It's a sandy bottom, so except for the occasional shell or little rock that I got in my shoe, those worked out perfectly. So any water shoes or sandals are going to be fine. Of course, a hat and some sunglasses just to keep your eyes protected is always a good idea. So let's talk about whether or not to bring your kayak. Last year, I didn't have a kayak. I was just wade fishing the whole time, and I did perfectly fine. The wind wasn't blowing very hard, and I was thinking it would be nice to have a kayak just to try and explore a little bit more water. But it's certainly not necessary. I haven't decided yet whether I'll bring one or not. But if you have one and you would like to, I would definitely recommend it. I'm going to be driving my truck. I know I can fit my kayak and probably 2 others. So if someone wants to take theirs and they don't have a vehicle to be able to transport it, just let me know. And then I guess the first 2 people that say yes can actually put theirs in my truck. I know some other folks that will be going probably have some room as well. So if you want to take it and you miss out on me, then we'll just put a word out for others, and we'll see if we can get you taken care of. Again, it's not necessary to have one, and there's a possibility you could always rent one when we got there. My guess is that would be kind of pricey, but it might be worth it if you just didn't want to have to worry about transporting it. Don't forget, if you do bring it, your life jacket and a paddle. So, of course, this trip is all about us just having fun. So no one should feel obligated to have to fish the entire time we're there. There's plenty of sand and sun and water. So right outside of the house where we'll be staying, it's just right across the street from the beach. So if you want to fish, that's great. If you don't and just want to hang out on the beach all day, that's fine too. Cindy Denham had told us about a really neat donut shop that's right down the road from the house where we'll be staying. They have some of the best donuts I've ever eaten, and you know how much I like donuts. She's also recommended a few places to eat out. We tried them last year, and they were excellent. So we'll plan on going out for some seafood and maybe a steak. But anyway, it's all about having fun. We're going to have a wonderful time, and I can't wait for August to roll around. If you have any questions about some of the gear, or anything that I mentioned, don't hesitate to write or call me, and I can fill you in on a few more details. Anyway, hope you've been able to view the presentation and that it has provided some help to you, and I am looking forward to it. Thanks.